She was just 6 when the fire took everything. Not just her house, but her name, her past, and the people inside it. I remember that night. Smoke rolled across the highway, flames licking the treetops. We saw her stumble out, barefoot, silent, covered in ash. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just looked back like someone was still inside, but she wouldn't say who. She never told us much, not even her name. The nurses called her Lily, and it stuck, just like she did. We weren't looking to adopt, not after what we'd lost. But when she held my hand in that hospital, my wife said yes instantly. So Lily became ours. Quiet, artistic, a little haunted. She drew things she forgot. She sleep-talked to shadows, but she was ours. Years passed, 11 of them. We moved towns, moved on. She called us Mom, Dad. She laughed, loved, dreamed big, until that knock came. It was a Saturday morning. Chilly sun just coming up. I opened the door, and there they were. 2 strangers holding a photo. Her name is Ava. The woman said it shaking. "This is our daughter." My throat dried instantly. Lily stood behind me. She looked at them, then at the photo, and dropped the cereal box. It spilled across the floor, just like her silence did. "I know them," she whispered, but she didn't look sure. My wife stepped between us. "Who are you people?" Her voice was steel. They had papers, photos, hospital records from before the fire. Before us, everything that proved something, everything we didn't want proven. But Lily Ava, she just stared blankly. "Why don't I remember them?" The woman started crying. The man held her tightly. "They told us she died." He pulled out a folder. There was a mix-up. She survived, but not alone. "You were given our child." 11 years, memories, vacations, first steps, first heartbreaks. All of it suddenly at risk of being theft. Were we thieves of fate? Or just parents by accident? Was love enough now? Lily Ava was shaking. Why did no one tell me I had parents? Her voice cracked open something deep inside all 3. Now we have to choose. Not just her, but us. Truth or comfort? Past or present? Because what if we weren't the only ones hiding something from her? We lived in Colorado Springs. Quiet, small-town air and sky. Mountains framed our every morning. Life was slow but steady. And then the fire came. We watched smoke swallow the forest. Sirens howled through broken silence. Our neighbors packed and vanished. But we stayed just barely. That night was black and burning. Flames hissed through dry branches. Ash rained like falling snow. And that's when we heard a cry, faint but sharp. Not an animal, a child? My husband ran toward it. I followed, heart hammering hard. We found her near rubble. Soot covered her tiny face. Eyes wide, filled with terror. No one else was there. No adults, no home left. Just her wrapped in smoke. She clung to my arm. Didn't speak. Didn't blink much. But something told me instantly. She was meant to be ours. The authorities never found anyone. No birth certificate. No records. Just a girl and fire. They named her unknown survivor. But we named her Ellie. she never talked about before. Not in words, not clearly, but she drew pictures constantly. Crumbling houses, eyes without faces, flames licking at strange symbols. She had nightmares, constantly screamed, sometimes in languages we didn't know. She'd wake up sobbing violently, but we held her tighter. Still, she grew into love. She laughed, played, trusted again. Our daughter, through and through, we built a life together. Vacations, birthdays, first bike rides, but the past stayed quiet, tucked beneath her silent smile, until the knock came suddenly. A man and woman stood, their eyes wide like hers, holding a photo of Ellie. "We've been looking for her." The woman's voice trembled softly. "This is our daughter, Ava." My breath caught, just froze there. Ava, that wasn't her name. Ellie stood behind me quietly. She saw them and froze. The woman's hands began shaking. We saw the news footage of that fire years ago. Her voice cracked at fire. The man stepped forward slowly. "She went missing that night. We lived near the woods." He pulled out old pictures, photos of a little girl, maybe 5, maybe 6 years. Her face eerily familiar, hauntingly so. Same eyes, same dimples even. Only the smile was different. Ellie didn't recognize them, though. She looked at me puzzled, like they were strangers passing by. Not her mother, not her father. I stood in our doorway, heart thudding, mind spinning fast. Was this some kind of scam? But their eyes, they were desperate. "Please," the woman whispered shakily. She had a tiny scar under her left shoulder blade. I stiffened. Ellie had it. The exact same crescent scar. I remembered bandaging it once. She fell in our driveway. Or so I'd believed then. We called her Ava Marie. She pulled out another item, a torn corner of blanket, patterned in tiny red moons. Ellie blinked, took a breath, and slowly stepped toward the fabric. She touched it, paused, then shook her head and stepped back. "I don't know you," she whispered. Tears welled up in her eyes. "I don't remember you at all." I felt torn clean in half, because deep inside I knew they weren't lying. Not at all. But Ellie, she was my daughter. The father asked for tests. DNA, he would pay everything. I hesitated but finally agreed. The silence that followed was brutal. Days passed. Ellie barely spoke. She spent hours in her room, drawing, sketching, scribbling over old pages, pictures of trees and burning shadows, and people with no faces, hands reaching from underground, smoke curling into mouths, eyes, ears. One picture had my face, split in half like glass. Another showed the two strangers with hollow eyes and bleeding mouths. I didn't show them those. One night I found her outside, sitting in the backyard grass, humming that strange little melody. "You okay, baby?" I asked. She didn't turn, just whispered, "They want me to forget again." I froze. "Forget what, Ellie?" She looked at me slowly. "The fire didn't take me. It gave me to someone else." The next morning, the results came, positive, no doubt. No error, she was biologically their daughter, but that didn't make it easier. She didn't feel like their child. She felt like mine, still mine. We sat her down together, told her gently, carefully, slowly. She blinked hard, then smiled. I knew I was borrowed, she said. My heart clenched at those words. So soft, so eerily adult. They were looking for Ava, she said. But I'm not her. I don't think I've ever been. The mother gasped, tears streaming now. The father's hand gripped his mouth. I still remember her laugh. Ellie shook her head again. No, you remember someone else. That girl didn't come back? I felt the air twist cold. That eerie electric kind of silence. The kind before thunder strikes. The couple asked to visit often, to try rebuilding something fragile. We allowed it, cautiously, respectfully. At first, they brought old toys. Photos, home videos, broken lullabies. Ellie watched them like fiction. One day they asked to visit the site of the old fire. They wanted her to remember. We all drove up together. The forest was half regrown now, but black stumps still jutted out, memories carved into the bark. Ellie stood very still there, her hand clenched into fists. She walked toward a patch quietly. No one told her where. She knelt near a stone, started digging with her fingers, then stopped, looked back at us. There was something here before. She whispered it like prophecy. No one listened to it then. What do you mean? I asked. She looked down, eyes unfocused. The fire wasn't an accident. The father stiffened instantly. What are you saying, Ellie? She stared straight ahead, unblinking. She hid it here somewhere, before everything burned away. Who hid what? I asked. She reached deeper into the soil, pulled out a rusted tin. We all stood frozen still. Inside were drawings, pages, letters, all written in a child's hand. Some were dated before the fire, way before Ellie was found. One letter said, they want to take her. They keep talking in woods. Mom doesn't believe me yet, but the shadows are real. My skin crawled. The handwriting, it was the same as Ellie's, identical to her. Childhood scribbles. And yet the dates didn't match. These notes were from years ago, before the fire, before Ellie. Then Ellie said softly, that's where I came from. Not a house, not people. Everyone was silent, even wind. She turned to me and whispered, you still want me, right? I knelt and hugged her tight, tighter than I ever had. Because whatever she was mine. The other mother cried gently, hands over mouth, trembling badly, but she didn't step forward. They said goodbye not long after. They said they'd need space now. Time to understand this truth. That night, Ellie hummed again. The same soft melody returned, but this time she smiled gently. I think I know now, she said. I wasn't born from fire. I was hidden in it. Weeks passed like molasses now. Ellie no longer asked questions. She seemed calmer, more grounded somehow, but a quiet edge remained. She still drew those strange scenes. Forests on fire, people vanishing, shadowy figures standing just out of frame. They never had eyes, just voids. I asked her once gently, do the drawings come from memory? She hesitated. Not all of them. That answer clung to me, like smoke you can't shake off. Not a lie. Not the truth? One morning I found her staring out the window, unmoving, cold. I touched her shoulder. Ellie? She didn't turn, just whispered, "They're waiting at the tree line." I looked but saw nothing. Just wood swaying in wind. The backyard peaceful, still, deceptive. Who's waiting? I asked quietly. She turned this time and smiled. You wouldn't believe me anyway. Later that night, the dreams began. Mine, not hers. Violent, strange. The same tree, the same fire, and always Ellie standing far away, calling for help without sound. Like her voice had burned away. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, feeling like I'd forgotten something. I started digging into archives, old news clippings, fire department logs. There were too many gaps missing, too many unknowns in official notes. The fire was labeled accidental, 'cause unknown, or electrical fault. Yet power lines hadn't reached there. It didn't make logical sense. But one entry stuck out, multiple reports of strange noises. Night before fire around 2 a.m., child voices, chanting, animal sounds. Dismissed as hallucination due to panic. Another detail chilled me more. Ellie or Ava was found alone. No burns. No injuries, clean, wrapped in a navy blue cloth. Not scorched, not even singed, yet surrounded by blackened earth. A firefighter had logged it. It was like she was placed, not rescued, just left there. I closed the file and shivered. It all felt staged somehow, not accidental, not random, chosen. Then one afternoon Ellie spoke, out of nowhere while drawing. You're going to have to choose. I froze. Choose what, sweetheart? She didn't stop coloring. Who I'm supposed to be. I sat beside her slowly. You can be whoever you are. No one gets to decide that. She paused, looked me straight on. What if I'm not even human? Silence hung like dead weight. I didn't want to entertain it. Didn't want to break the illusion, but her stare wouldn't let go. What do you mean? I asked. She pointed to one drawing, a shadow holding hands with fire. In its arms, a child. I don't think she survived. Not the real Ava, not then? I swallowed hard. But who? Ellie looked at her own hands. I think I'm what was left. The words hung in air. Not metaphor, not imagination, truth. The fire didn't rescue her. It made her. It chose her. That night, I stood alone by the edge of the woods, watching that same tree line sway, waiting for something, anything to show up. And then I heard humming. Not Ellie's voice, but similar. A younger version, softer, airy. It came from the trees. And I swear I saw eyes, dozens, watching, flickering like candlelight. I turned around, fast ran, slammed the door and locked everything. Ellie was waiting in hallway. Did they say anything? She asked. I just shook my head. Because deep down I knew they weren't speaking to me anymore. Only to her. Always her. The next day she smiled. Not her usual quiet smile, but something wiser, resigned, final. I think they're done watching now. She stood by the kitchen window, unmoving, still holding the letter from yesterday. The one from the couple who claimed to be Ava's biological parents. But they didn't call her Ava. They said her name was Ellie, same date of birth, same scar on her left collarbone, same dimples, same birthmark behind ear. It didn't make sense, and yet it did. Because now that I was staring at Ava, I realized something chilling. Her eyes weren't brown. They were hazel now, softer, lighter, familiar but off. She'd changed over the years, yes, but not this much, not so fundamentally. And then there was that strange thing she said the other night. Sometimes I dream memories that don't belong to me. I asked her gently, "What do you mean, sweetie?" She hesitated like always, then softly said, "I remember another bedroom. Blue walls, a spinning lamp. That wasn't our house. Our guest room was green, and we'd never owned a spinning lamp." When I asked for more, she clammed up. That night I cried, because a part of me had always feared this very moment would come that she wasn't ours, and maybe never was. Back then, during the fire, everything was chaos. Children screaming, smoke thick like syrup in lungs, firemen shouting, parents running. When they brought her out, she was unconscious, wrapped in a gray fire blanket, hair singed, face blackened by soot. We were told she was the only one unclaimed after the blaze. Too many kids had been inside the home. The orphanage had poor records, everything lost in flames. When no family came, we took her in. We named her Ava. She didn't speak for weeks. Trauma, the doctor said. But she warmed up. And we fell in love. Hopelessly, fully, desperately. She became our daughter, but now she might belong to someone else. Someone who also lost a child that night. And maybe we were the ones who took her. I met with the couple who wrote us. They were calm, older. The mother, Helen, carried a folder with photos. The father, Michael, had his hands clenched tight. "We don't want trouble," Helen said with tears. "We just want answers." They showed me baby photos. A little girl, so much like Ava, but younger. Messier hair. Same eyes, same smile. They said her name was Ellie Kensington, and she'd been missing since that same night 11 years ago. Taken from the same fire. The same building. No body was ever found. She was presumed dead after a month, but they never stopped looking, never stopped hoping. Until recently, when Ava's school posted a dance recital video on Facebook. Helen's cousin saw it, recognized the face, and here we were. I told them I'd talk to Ava gently, try to figure out what she remembered. But I couldn't make promises. Helen only nodded. "We just want the truth." And that was the problem, because I wasn't sure what that was anymore. That night I sat beside Ava's bed again. She was sketching as she always did lately, drawing things that looked wrong, places I'd never seen. "Do you remember the fire?" She blinked at me. "No," she said softly. "I just remember waking up here, with you." "But sometimes," I asked, "do you remember before?" She frowned. "Sometimes I dream a man with a deep voice. He sings to me at bedtime." My heart dropped. Because my husband, her dad, doesn't sing. He never has. And a woman with a red scarf always smells like lavender shampoo. I was frozen. That wasn't me either. I used eucalyptus. I called Helen, told her Ava remembered the scarf. The lullabies. Helen sobbed, said she still wears the scarf. Still uses the same lavender shampoo from before. Then Helen said something that shattered my world. She used to hum Fly Away Home every night before she slept. I gasped. That was Ava's lullaby. The one I thought she made up herself. The one she hummed every time she was scared. I dropped the phone. Ava wasn't Ava, and yet she grew in my arms, learned to walk holding my fingers, said her first word light to me. She called me Mom. I kissed her skinned knees. I stayed awake during her fevers, school nights, broken hearts, panic attacks. How do you measure motherhood? Blood or years? DNA or devotion? And what now? If we weren't her real parents, were we still allowed to love her? I told Ava everything, showed her Ellie's photos. She stared quietly for a long, long time. I look like her, she finally whispered. Too much. But I don't feel like her. I feel... Feel what? I asked. Like I'm both, she whispered. Ava and Ellie. What does that mean? I think I remember being in two homes. Before the fire? She nodded slowly. And something happened that night. I saw someone... Someone? But she clammed up, shaking, terrified, and she whispered, I think there was another girl in there. Here is your story with all the new lines removed and formatted into continuous, readable paragraphs. There was another girl, her voice barely a whisper in the dark. I leaned closer, whispering, What do you mean? Ava stared at her sketch pad, hands trembling slightly. She wore the same bracelet I had, she said. The star charm. My stomach dropped again. The star charm bracelet. It was in the photos Helen had shown. Ellie's favorite thing. Worn every day since 5. A silver star dangling. Identical to Ava's, but I had assumed we bought it ourselves, or did we? But there was one more thing we had to do, visit Emily's parents. Helen gave us their new address. Far away, we made the drive. 12 hours, 3 states. We didn't tell Ava who we were meeting. Just said we were visiting someone from before. When we arrived, Ava froze on the porch. The door opened. A woman stepped out. She gasped, hands to her mouth, collapsing slowly onto the steps, whispering, Emily? And Ava, no hesitation, ran into her arms, crying. They held each other for minutes, for years. No one spoke, not a sound, just grief finally unmuted, just memory finding home, just a girl, and the woman who thought she lost her forever. And maybe now both were whole again. Later, Emily turned to me, still holding the woman's hand, but eyes on me. You were never wrong, she said. You raised me. You taught me kindness. You made me brave. You found me. I smiled, though it hurt deeply, beautifully. I didn't find you. I said softly, You found me. We stayed for hours. Emily sat quietly, holding the woman's hand. Her name was Claire, Emily's birth mother. She had never remarried, never had more children. After Emily vanished, Claire waited, mourned, fought, searched, but grief aged her. Now she looked like a ghost of herself. Still, her eyes sparkled like they recognized something even through the years. Later, we sat down. Claire brought out a small box from storage. "This belonged to Emily," she whispered, voice trembling. Inside, a teddy bear, a tiny blue ribbon, and a picture of two girls, Emily and Ellie, matching dresses, matching smiles, matching bracelets. Only now I saw something I'd missed before. Ellie wore the bracelet with the dangling star. Emily wore the twinna heart-shaped charm instead. Not a star. My mind froze. If Ava had a star bracelet when found, then she was Ellie, I whispered. Not Emily, we had it reversed. Everything was wrong. Wait, where's the bracelet now? Claire looked up. It was never returned. Police said no item survived, but she wore it. Claire blinked. Are you sure it was hers? I saw it myself, I said. She wore it when we met, but Ava was wearing Ellie's bracelet, I whispered. Claire froze. Then tears welled up. No, she whispered. She found her way home, didn't she? I didn't know how to answer that, because the truth was, we still didn't know. That night, I went through our old storage. Boxes of childhood things. Buried under drawings, crafts, report cards, and memories, I found the bracelet. Still perfectly intact. Silver star. Slightly tarnished. I held it tightly. Turned it over, there was an engraving. Tiny, almost invisible. Ellie, it wasn't. Ava's, it wasn't. Emily's, it was Ellie's, and Ava had been wearing it since day one. I drove back to Claire the next morning. I showed her the bracelet. She held it, collapsed again, clutching it. It's hers, she wept. My Ellie, my baby. But Ava, no, our Ava, was never Ellie? Then who was she? The real twist wasn't that Emily had survived, or that Ellie had died. It was that neither girl survived. Not in full. Ava had been found wandering, wearing Ellie's bracelet, but with no ID, no record, no matching name or photo. She had burns, shock, and nearly no memory. She was near the fire, but not in it. How did she get there? Back then, the fire spread from the back. Many kids escaped from the front. Some were never officially counted. Later, one child about Ava's age was reported missing from a nearby trailer park. She was quiet, neglected, sometimes wandered off alone. But no official search was ever made. No adoption filed. No police follow-up? Her name? Nobody remembered it. Not even her. Not even herself. And maybe that's where she found the bracelet. Clutched in the grass. Dropped by Ellie or tossed in confusion. Maybe she picked it up and wore it, longing for connection. Longing to belong. And when someone found her, she never corrected them. Because she didn't know. She only had that bracelet. And our voices. Calling her Ava, so she became Ava, our Ava. We tried DNA testing. Long delays. Limited results. The match to Ellie? Negative. The match to Emily? Also negative. She wasn't either girl. She was someone else entirely. We told Ava everything. We sat her down. Explained it gently, truthfully. She didn't speak much. She just nodded slowly, then said, "It makes sense." I asked why. She looked at me, those same calm eyes. Because I was never sure. I didn't feel like Ellie. I didn't feel like Emily. I only ever felt, she smiled faintly, like Ava. Our Ava, Claire understood too. It broke her heart, but she looked at Ava, no tears, just calm. You saved me, she said. For a moment, you let me feel again. They hugged goodbye, not forever, but peacefully. A chapter closing, and a new one beginning. At home, Ava asked, Am I still yours? I didn't hesitate. You were never not. She laughed a little. The men whispered, Can we stop searching now? And I said, We already found you. Some mysteries stay open, some names stay unknown. But what matters is this: family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's fire forged. Sometimes it's chosen. Sometimes it's a girl lost between stories who becomes someone entirely new. Not Ellie, not Emily, but Ava, ours forever. Her name was Ava. We never found her real name, not officially. No birth record. No family ever claimed her. Just ashes. Just fire. Just a silver bracelet. And a child who carried it like truth. We named her Ava, and that name stayed. Because sometimes your story starts where others end. Because sometimes belonging isn't about blood, it's about love. Ava grew up strong, quiet, kind, and watchful. She still has the bracelet in her drawer, but she doesn't wear it anymore. She says, I don't need to borrow someone else's story. Now she writes her own. Sometimes I wonder what life she came from, what she might have remembered if trauma hadn't buried it so deep. But then I stop, because Ava told me once, I remember warmth, your hugs, your voice, Dad's pancakes, laughter, and that's all that matters. Not the fire, not the fear, not the questions that go unanswered. She chose her name. She chose us too. So if you're watching this and you've ever felt lost, forgotten, or misplaced, know this one truth: you can start again. You can become someone else. You can choose who stays. Family is who loves you, who waits when you're silent, who calls you theirs even when the world tries to call you someone else entirely. We didn't just adopt her. She adopted us back. If this story moved you, if Ava's journey felt real in your chest, please take a second to hit that like. Every like tells YouTube this story matters. And if you're still watching, you've walked every step of this journey with us. That's powerful. That's rare. You belong here too. So why not join us? Subscribe for more emotional, twisted, mysterious family stories. Every week we share stories that linger not just in your head, but deep in your heart. Stories about people lost and found, about memories erased and rewritten, about the ones who left and the ones who fought like hell to bring them back home. Drop a comment below. Tell us, what would you have done differently? Do you think Ava's real identity ever mattered? Or was her chosen identity the one that really counted in the end? We read every comment, every theory, every tear. So let your heart speak. We're listening. And share this video, send it to someone who needs a reminder that it's never too late to belong somewhere. That even in the ashes of who we were, something beautiful remains. Maybe even something better. Because fire doesn't just destroy, it purifies. And sometimes it reveals who we were meant to be. Don't miss what's next. Click the notification bell so you never miss another emotional mystery. We've got stories coming that will leave you speechless, shaking, sobbing, searching, and they all start with just one click. To Ava, to everyone still searching, to those who got lost but kept walking. This story is for you. You're not forgotten. You're not alone. You're not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. Just like Ava, and that is what makes you unforgettable. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time, stay brave, stay kind, and never stop looking. Because sometimes they come back, and sometimes they never really left.